welcome again to this Sunday afternoon 3:30 broadcast of PNN 247. I want to welcome our guests from TikTok as well as YouTube and any other social media platforms that we may use. The invisible culture that's going on in America. The white-led government, the white-led police force, the white-led military, the white-led political, the white-led economic, the white-led agricultural, the white-led transportation, the white-led criminal justice, the white-led those are some of the issues that I wanted to just mention first before we begin our show today. But this is the Black News Network, the real voice of Black USA, broadcasting live every Sunday afternoon at 3:30 p.m. And we are pleased to have a co-host today who's been with me for over a year now. I'd like to welcome to some or present to some and introduce to others and not only Mr. Claude Austin. How you
Hello,
doing, Mr. Claude?
hey, my brother, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you so much for joining us today here at the Black News Network and bringing your expertise and your intellectual ability on this topic. We want to talk about the shutdown going on in Washington. That's just that's bothering everybody. Bothering us. So TikTok, speaking to you as well as speaking to anybody else that may be listening, please join us for this long and arduous conversation that we are about to have about the shutdown. So without me kicking off with the show, I want to Claude to go ahead and start us off with wherever you want to begin. Because it's so broad. I mean, we can start anywhere, still be on point. So go ahead.
Well, well, I had a lot on my mind just thinking about the show this week. Primarily because we're in the political season, and I often talk. You started off by talking about the white man is, you know, this and that and this and that. It's his country.
For some reason,
Politics, politics is part of it. And what got me to thinking about it, I think the solution is in a black state where we are the majority to give us some real options. But short of that, we're coming up on this election season. We're coming up on this election season where, aside from Georgia, we got an opportunity to elect some more black senators. One of them from your home state of Mississippi, if the national politicians or the national politics put enough money in Mississippi. Look how many black voters are in Mississippi that don't go to the polls. So I think we got an opportunity to pick up some more black senators so we can start to kind of neutralize this imbalance in our politics.
uh-huh.
Uh, Texas, Mississippi, uh, those are two states. Texas is not, all the way red. I mean, it's lukewarm blue.
Mm-hmm.
So we got some
I know
opportunities
where you
there.
see that at. You think Texas is lukewarm blue?
Yeah, lukewarm blue. I mean, most of the residents of Texas live in the cities, and most of the cities are, if 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 we spent the money to turn out black folks,
Mm.
I think we could win some of these seats. You don't think you don't think that Hyde Smith woman could be defeated in Mississippi? I mean, SB got her in a runoff, and now you got this other brother running that was part of the Clinton administration, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at all the people in Mississippi that don't vote. or you can go up and down the old South. I'm just saying that.
Take an interest in politics at all.
No, I'm just saying that if the National Party really cares about Democrat, they will spend money in those states. You can't win without money.
No, you can't. And
I
you
mean,
can't win without using this governmental system that they have.
well, and that government system is governed by the dollar bill.
Hmm.
And I'm just saying that if we can spend millions of dollars in states that are majority, right? We can spend hundreds of millions of dollars into campaign chests in states trying to defeat white incumbents by white Democrats. But we won't spend those same amount of dollars in black states, in states where if the black turnout increases, we could probably pick up some of those Senate seats other than, Georgia. Georgia and Delaware has a black representative now. Maryland has a black senator. Uh, I mentioned Georgia. I don't want to mention Tim Scott in South Carolina. He's about to
Oh,
be the longest.
yeah.
Well, I mean,
He ain't
I know
part.
everybody our skin color ain't our skin color, and I know how the listeners feel about Tim Scott, but he is black, and so
That
we got.
slavery is not true though, man. I'm telling you, slavery. Let Tim Scott tell it. He said slavery was non-existent. We were being taught how to be Americans.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna bash him right now. I'm just saying that we're in this political country,
Hmm.
and if we are as valued as our party say we are, why won't they spend the money in the states where we're the majority when black candidates are running? Like in Louisiana. Look how much the white Republicans have to spend in that state versus the Democrats.
Yeah. Well, now you're thinking that, and well, my thinking is that
I mean, you put your money
people
where you're
spend
valued,
money want to win,
right? Do they
and
not want to win?
if you're still fighting from a defeatist attitude, you're not going to invest in what you think can be a real positive turnaround. So in Mississippi, I don't think that they want to invest the money because they don't think they can win. That's what I'm thinking is
Yeah,
happening
but
in Mississippi.
but if they don't, until they invest the money, they'll never know the answer to that.
I know you got to take a risk somewhere down the line,
I mean, they
just
take a
like,
risk in other places,
huh?
trying to. They take a risk in other states trying to defeat white incumbents, Republicans.
Yeah, that's a
So,
fact.
so why don't they spend the same levels of funding in Mississippi or in Alabama or in
Can
these other
anybody
southern
answer
states?
that question? Because I don't know why they want. And the reason we're talking about this money that being spent in these different districts and states is because this is why we're in a governmental shutdown right now, because we don't have the votes in Congress that are needed to make the difference in the laws that are being passed. So we're stuck right now, and we got to come out of this quagmire. And people are expecting it to happen during the midterm election, but if we're still not voting during the midterm election, we're going to be still stuck in this quagmire after the midterm election. So I think that's what's basically happening here. And Claude's question is, why are we apathetic about spending the money necessary to fund a campaign? You don't see no commercials. You see very few commercials. You got people coming on TikTok and social media asking for money for their campaign. And that's what's been happening. If they got to come ask for money from their campaign, obviously some money is missing somewhere. They're not getting what they need to sustain their campaign or to do the advertising that they need to do, and they're not able to reach the people the way they should be reached. I mean, not only TV commercials, radio commercials, social media posting, door to door knocking, door flyer hanging at the supermarket. at Walmart, at Target, at all these different retailers out here, trying to get people to understand that you got to participate in order to win the game. You can't be on a team, which we're on a team, but we're not able to win because we don't get maximum participation. And I think that's the biggest issue we having to deal with right now is getting people off the couch and down to the polls when it's time to vote. If we don't vote, we don't win. When we don't win, we got to deal with what we're dealing with right now. And that is unacceptable to many of us. So I don't know how we're going to get out of this here government shutdown when the biggest dilemma, let's go through the dilemma of what the shutdown is. The Democrats are saying we don't want to lose SNAP benefits. They're saying over 40 million Americans will be removed from the SNAP benefit process, which means tons of people will be going to the food banks to get food. And if they can't get food at the food banks and then they don't have any food at home and the neighbors ain't feeding them, where you think they're going to get the food from? They're not going to keep begging for it. They're going to go out and get it. And you don't just go out. I mean, I feel sorry for the people that's got to go out and do this. I mean, I really do. I mean, the only thing gonna change that is the very same people that are losing these benefits need to register to vote. So we can have a change in our government right now if you want these benefits to stay intact. And the biggest argument by the Republican, well, I failed to mention Medicare.
Medicare and Medicaid.
As so many millions of people will be cut off of this Obamacare process, and when they try to rejoin, it's going to be twice the cost. So
And you
you
got
already can't afford the $200 a month or $500 a month or whatever you're paying for your family. When you come back after this vote, after the budget has been approved, you're going to be paying twice that amount, according to the Democrats. Now, the Republicans say that they don't want to discuss the budget. They don't want to discuss these two items until after the funding has been approved. And this has been going on for the last three sessions now, or the three budget approvals, that they don't want to discuss certain things until after it's approved. And the last three times, the Democrat caved in and said, oh, okay, we're going to go along with it. And we end up not getting what we want. I ain't going to say not what we want because I don't claim to be a Democrat and I don't claim to be a Republican. We're not getting what we're asking for. So we are not going to vote this time because the Republicans have stuck them two or three times. They're not going to get stuck a fourth time and look really stupid as they have done in the past. That's what I see. So the Republicans are saying that the immigrants, the convicts, the criminals, the rapists, they keep throwing this stuff around and it's Joe Biden's fault. All this here stuff is Joe Biden's fault. But you hear that from all of the Republican senators and representatives, and then you don't hear any substance in what the problem is, other
but
than go ahead.
but I think the people. I mean, I think the people really want to know. I mean, I haven't seen any politician that represents our communities come out with a detailed explanation of how the shutdown going to affect programs that directly impact their constituents. Whether it's TANF, whether it's housing choice vouchers, whether it's my student loan. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And
Mm-hmm,
we're in Texas, and
mm-hmm,
Texas got over 200,000 federal employees. It's a lot of people ain't gonna be getting paid
mm-hmm,
because the state gonna declare who is necessary and who's not necessary. The necessary folks get paid. How
mm-hmm.
many of the necessary folks look like us?
Not that many.
And
You
how
know,
many of the unnecessary folks are us?
from
That
what I
they gonna furlough. I'm just saying that we need specific answers. People, the people that I talk to, that's what they be asking. You know,
mhm,
about their food stamps, about whether or not they're going to continue to get WIC. What about veteran services? What about, is the IRS still going to be able? Are you still going to be able to file your tax forms? I mean, these are everyday issues that people don't know about.
I mean, it's a
You know,
big issue.
if most of the African Americans got small businesses, if we got a disproportionate number of small businesses, what's the impact on SBA loans and all that kind of stuff? Are people going to
That's
be able to meet their payroll?
I mean, you're asking the right questions, but to the wrong person because, well, to the audience. I'm sure you're asking it to
No,
the audience.
I'm saying, I've been talking to some people, and these are the kind of questions they're asking me. And then I got to thinking, I
Mhm.
haven't seen a specific document come out explaining the impact on everyday ordinary people, especially everyday ordinary black folks who's going to be impacted by all these social programs,
Mhm.
especially colored people, if you will.
You don't mean the black people. You mean all of the people.
I mean colored people.
Okay, I want to make sure
I mean,
you ain't calling African Americans or black people color people.
no, I'm just saying colored people.
So people to take something like
But
that.
I'm just saying. You can go to the Texas website and they talk about this. The Texas Tribune talks about this, but they don't get down to the nuts and bolts of
Mhm.
how these. You know, who cares about housing choice vouchers? Have you heard any news or any reports about the impact of the shutdown on housing choice vouchers? I bet the people that's got housing choice vouchers want to know.
Now, one thing about them housing vouchers, I would like to throw in here. We got people been on housing over 30 years and being subsidized on Section 8. That's preposterous to me. It shouldn't be happening. You know,
Well,
that's way above and over what the federal government should be doing when it
so
comes to
what?
an individual
So
family.
I don't know. I hear what you're saying. We don't live in an equal society. I know housing choice vouchers in certain parts of the country
So
are
you think
places where.
30 years is okay?
No, I'm saying that there are places in this country where people don't have, where the minimum wage is still $7 an hour, and people don't have opportunities for jobs. And I mean,
Mhm.
how can we have an unjust society? So it's hard to answer that question in a fair, I think, in a fair way, as to is 20 years too long? Is 30 years too long? Uh,
How? I mean, you know, it's government money. Basically, it's taxpayers' money.
well, the people that live in it pay taxes.
Has a responsibility for themselves to a certain extent. Now, I don't knock Section 8. I don't knock any of that, but I do think that we should be able to work our way beyond that after a certain period of time. I feel like if you practice, if you get Section 8, you should be receiving some additional quality information to help assist you move beyond that level of living. I
Well,
mean, everybody don't come to this is the last thing. Everybody don't come here to live in the service industry all their lives. People work hard to get out of that industry and to move to a better position in life. So if you're complacent with Section 8, then you ain't trying hard enough. And that's something the Republicans are pushing right now, saying that they want people that are on these subsidies to show that they're just like you get on unemployment, you got to show your job search. So
well,
if you
there's all kind of subsidies. I mean, but there's all kind of subsidies. People in rural areas, farmers, all kind of people get subsidies,
but there's
but
some
but
target.
we don't hear, you know, at some point that they got to be able to do whatever they do on their own. I'm just saying that we tend to paint certain behaviors as as we're the culprits and nobody else is
Not
benefiting
us
from the
now.
government.
I'm not saying it's us. I'm saying out of Section 8, there are so many thousands of people that have been on there 20, 30 years. Now, and then in the next apartment is their children who've been on there 10, 15 years. And in the next apartment are their children who've been there 5 or 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what needs to be eradicated. But that's not the problem of the federal government. That's the problem of the local Section 8. Here in San Antonio, right now, there are over $2 million of outstanding rents and collections from people on Section 8. That's a lot of money to be owed to a city just for rent, and nobody's getting evicted. And this is as one or two cases that I know of that people are 6 to 8 months behind on their Section 8 payment.
I mean, what costs more? Does it cost more to kick? I mean, wouldn't it cost more if you kick them out and they're living on the street? I mean,
Well. I mean, you don't you saying just give them a free place to live. That's
no,
what you
I'm not saying give them a free place.
But
Obviously, they're paying something.
what do you expect to do then? I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. You cannot continue to pay these people rent when they have a responsible obligation to pay a subsidized rent. I mean, it don't you ain't paying the full price, you paying a piece of the full price, and you got extended family all around you, and you can't make a $80 a month payment. I
Yeah.
mean, you can pick up paper in the parking lot and make $80 to pay your rent. It's something you got to create a way. That's why we have homeless people now because they don't. Many of them are by choice, but many of them don't want to make a way to find $5 or $10 or $20 to support living in a particular condition. If that's the case, then I might as well move into a big old mansion up on the hill and not pay for it. In other words, squat. That's exactly what it is. You're squatting now when you're not paying your rent when it's been already reduced to a particular level, and it's reduced based on your income.
Well, I think it's a complicated subject. I think it's
It is. It is. That's
I
just
don't
one
think
aspect of the whole diaspora we're talking about.
right.
But now we go to federal employees. 12,000 federal employees have been furloughed. In other words, this is not on this shutdown, but these are the people who've been laid off.
Is that in Bear County or you
No,
talking
in
about?
the country, in the country,
It's
over
got to be
12
more than 12,000.
at this point. In other words,
Oh,
fired people.
well,
12,000,
furloughed is not fired.
huh?
If they're furloughed, they're not fired.
Well, when I say furloughed, I mean in lieu of firing
Right.
because they fired 12,000 people.
Okay.
They furloughed over what 41,000 people or something that work in the government.
Right.
A lot of people,
Like I say, it depends on if they're missionally central or if they're just
of course. And then you got people working without pay. What's the difference in them working without pay and slavery? What's the difference? There's no difference. If you got to go to work and not get paid for it, you might as well be what do they call us now? A prisoner of war, because you are locked into a position that you got to provide the services for, but you're not going to receive your paycheck. I'm pretty sure you're going to get back pay whenever they decide to reinstate the government. Huh?
Well, one question I have, if maybe some listener know, I don't have the answer yet because I haven't seen any detailed uh, papers put out by anybody that kind of detail. But if you're a state employee and your funds come from the federal government, do you still get paid?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, I'm absolutely sure some do and some don't. I mean, but if it's based on the government, the federal government decide if you're not mission essential, you're not going to get a check. And
But
even
if
if you are mission essential, you're not getting a check. Are the air traffic controllers getting paid? No, they're not getting paid. You see all these people in the food lines, and you think that these food banks are able to sustain as many people that work for the government? No, they can't. It's almost impossible for these food banks to maintain.
I mean,
Churches, everybody. Go ahead.
I mean, do people, federal employees that don't get paid, is the utility company, the gas company, they still gonna cut off their bills if they don't make the payment?
Excuse me for saying that. Yes, they will. You tell me if you don't pay you can't arrange a payment with them, they gonna cut it off. I don't give a damn. See, you making me curse, Claude. You ain't making me do it, but I'm just
I'm not making yours. You just, I
what you
mean,
got. I'm saying that this is some stuff that you can't get around. You gotta pay your electric bill. You gotta pay your water bill.
unless the
Gotta
state
pay.
unless the state jumps in and says that they're gonna work out arrangements with the utility company.
Have you
I'm
in your lifetime heard of a state saying that they're going to work out arrangements with a power company to pay anybody's bill? Never. That has
well,
never happened.
well,
And I'm willing to say it never will happen because it's all about corporate greed. They're not going to give you anything. Just like all the power grid went down in was it 2020 when we had that big snowstorm here, February 14th, 2020, and all the power went out and people died from it. And then they swear it up and down they were going to put $2 billion into the grid and make it better. You ain't seen a single improvement. They probably did some improvements, but you don't see many improvements on the grid where your power don't go down. You still get power surges where your power will go off and come right back on.
I
Why is
mean,
now and then during the summer and the peak time, they talk about rolling blackouts in major cities like San Antonio.
is ICE gonna stop picking up illegal immigrants because the Immigration and Naturalization Service is shut down or reduce staff?
Okay, I got a comment from Jamie. The power companies will. I live in Florida and they do it for hurricanes. Okay, that makes sense, Jamie. Thank you for that comment. Here's another one. Texas has bad Republican government. All right, that's an opinion. But
Well, but she's
if,
right.
if they do it for hurricanes, I can understand that. But how, I mean, do they give you a window of free services, Jamie? What do they do? They got to be, they're not going to give it unlimited power until you can get back up on your feet. You're going to have to do something to pay that bill.
Well,
And,
but the
and what
state, but
they're
the
going to do is just increase the cost to recoup their money. These corporate people are capitalists. And because they are capitalists, they have no intentions on losing any money. Not here, not there, not anywhere. They're going
but
to
I
make
but I
this
think but I think federal workers are covered. I mean, if you're a federal worker
to
you lose
utility.
your job, yeah, I think they're protected by the state. So like if you're a federal worker and you lose your job as a result of the shutdown, or you are furloughed because of the shutdown, or you don't get paid, I think you're protected.
Well, I don't see. You might think that, but I don't know it, and I haven't seen it, and I ain't gonna assume that the government or they gonna give anybody anything without me seeing it in writing, because they can make all the promises they want, like politicians, but when the rubber hits the road, you end up with nothing. Look at all this PPP loan bull crap that came out, where they said they're gonna give all this money to the people, and all the politicians end up getting it, and all the rich people end up getting it. The people with the smallest businesses, yeah, you got 10,000 here, 20,000 there, maybe even 100,000 there. But we talking some of these major corporations got billions of dollars from the PPP loans. We are at the lowest part of the spectrum when it comes to government subsidies. They're not concerned about taking care of us. They're concerned about what they can get from us. So this is reverse Robin Hood syndrome. What's happening is they're taking from the poor and giving to the rich in America. Now, this government shutdown is just exacerbating what's actually happening. It's making it go viral, so to speak, over this country because these well to do people with this sustained income or consistent income is now being forced to get in the food line because many of them was making so much money and living right on the ledge of the amount of money they are making and did not are not putting away as much as they should. Now, many have 401ks, I'm sure, in the government, but when it comes to everyday living, you don't want to touch that, and that's what they're trying not to do. But without that 401k, you're not going to be able to survive without that next paycheck. So how are you going to make it? How are you going to make it through there? All right, I got a message from Pastor Larry Thomas. In Maryland, our government more helping bills and food while the government's down. Well, that's good. They might say we're going to give every family that come in and fill out all this paperwork $200, $300. That's a good deal. But the bottom line is the majority of Americans are not getting money to pay bills.
In
You're not
Texas, in
getting
Tex,
what government's going to be giving you money? It's got to be the state. You know, the federal government giving Donald Trump $250 million for this raid in Mar-a-Lago, and he, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna take it. Now he's talking about this. They giving him that amount of money in the middle of the government shutdown, in the middle of the TV airing people in food lines that wrap around the corner. I got another a comment from Deborah. Thank the Democrats for the shutdown because they want $1 trillion to go to the illegals. Now, how many illegals would that $1 trillion support? Who is that said there? Deborah. I don't know how you pronounce that. Deborah. I'm sorry if I messed up your name. How are you going to deal with that? I mean, you don't have enough illegal immigrants to justify saying that we can't do approve this because of $1 trillion for illegal immigrants or for criminal immigrants. What are you saying? Are we talking about the murders, the rapists, all this here stuff that they claim that the Democrats want to give money to? Anybody in their right mind would ask the question, why would the Democrats want to give money to murderers and rapists and criminals? You know, that is not the objective of what the government is about. Nobody goes out to support these criminals. They're going to, illegal immigrants are people too. And if they are here and they're contributing to the society, all you want them to do is just pay taxes. They're not here by themselves, just like drugs didn't get into black neighborhoods by themselves. Somehow they all arrived in this country, just like drugs somehow arrived in the black community. You know, it's not something that just happened, it is by design. This country operates by a strict protocol on every level. These people know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly how long this shutdown is going to go. They know who's going to give in, and they're talking about it every day off the cameras. It's just not going to happen right now for some particular reason. This Project 2025 stuff, well, what about Trump? Trump
well,
is,
well,
go ahead.
well, we have an opportunity to shut down the shutdown. If we just turn out and vote in 2026.
That is the only way, right? I agree. Because ain't no stopping our president right now. He's tearing down the east wing of the White House right now to build this ballroom. And you know what's wrong with a new ballroom? I don't have a problem with that. I ain't never gonna go in there and do anything. But you know, if you're gonna sponsor dinners and events for the world, then why shouldn't you have a nice ballroom to do this? But the way you go about establishing that ballroom is the problem, especially in the midst of a government shutdown. That is where the problem lies. That is the big chip on everybody's shoulder. Why are we doing this during this particular time.
Well,
Deborah
one of the things.
Robinson, yes, you
No, go
are,
ahead.
but it really, the rich is for Trump. Go ahead. She says the rich is for Trump.
And Trump may be your president again in 2029. That's according to Steve Bannon.
Ted
So,
Nugent is
I
on
mean,
that too.
he ain't building that. He ain't building that dance hall or whatever it is if he's not going to use it. So people need to pay attention.
Yeah. And then you have the, go ahead, you have these countries that are just aligning with Mr. Trump and agreeing with Mr. Trump. You still got the war going on in Israel against the Palestinians. You still have them bombing and terrorizing their families over there. You still got the Ukraine war going. We This is from Pastor Larry. We need to not wait. Vote in November. We got to get ready. You're right, Pastor. We got to do this. That is one big issue that we have not dealt with. We did it for Barack Obama. We're going to have to do it now. We can't wait. We can't wait. I mean, I agree wholeheartedly. If we don't get out and vote, we're going to have more problems. And these are not problems that are by default. That these are manufactured problems. These are issues that are brought up based on what a person thinks, what a person believes, and what a person want to do. I got a message from Jamie. Obama spent 360 million for renovations, and everyone thought it was great, and that was taxpayer money. The difference between what Obama did and what our current president is doing, President passed Obama went through the proper procedures to get approval from the people to make these renovations. He didn't just arbitrarily sign a document and say, go tear this down or go do this. There
Well,
was
now
no
there is a difference now.
talk about
Trump, and I'm not saying he's right, but he's not using public funds to do it.
it. Ain't no way you can believe that he's not.
Well, I mean, he said
Not
he's not
going to
doing
use his own money. He already did his own Trump Tower when he was in the office the first time.
it.
He
No, I'm
used
just saying it.
every
I'm
of
just saying.
government money, millions of dollars to renovate his hotel, and then now you telling me he's not going to use government money to build this thing? He just like he said when he wanted to do this hall that he was not going to touch the White House. He was not going to tear down anything. And you know what I heard this morning, Claude?
What's that, bro?
This morning, a reporter asked him about it, and he said, "You're acting like a third grade teacher, which is what you are. You ain't got no business here. You're a third grade. You're on a third grade level."
That's what he said to the reporter.
Yeah, on live television. You can. And now, what if that reporter said, "I've been called worse by better, President Trump"? What if he said that to him? He would have been dumbfounded. So if you reap what you sow, you don't talk to people like that. The man only asked a question, and he belittled this man to a point where the public is restricting themselves from approaching or confronting this individual
Right.
because of what that individual is going to do.
Has
This,
has anyone has any politician up there put out a info sheet on the impact of the shutdown?
I have not seen anything, but I do have quite a bit of news that's going on right now in the world. You know, Israel started firing again on Pakistan or the Palestinians, and that was pretty sad.
Hmm.
These people, I don't know who they're fighting because I never see any war, any military people from the Palestinian side, but I always see the Israelis with weapons and in military tanks and all that kind of stuff. I have another comment from Pastor Larry. Let's call for the taxes and the public will see, but Trump won't do it. All right. What happened when we asked for Trump and the IRS to see where his money spent? He never gives us he never gives us his tax return. We already know that. So why are we still asking? He didn't give it to us the first time, and he's not going to give it to us the second time. That's just the way he rolls.
Right.
And nobody's going to do anything about it, to be honest with you. Um, did you know 1.6 million people that were in this country already self deported? That's a lot of people to decide, I'm getting the hell up out of here. They left. They left America because of this raid by ICE in all these neighborhoods and all these cities. They're leaving. Now we're wondering who's going to be out there doing some of the work that they have done to help sustain American way of living. Why would a tomato that you can get for 2.49 a pound end up being 5.96 a pound? It's going to get to that level because the people you think going to be out there picking this stuff, and I don't mean that's all they do, so don't get me wrong. Those prices are going to go up, and the farmers are hurting. All the wheat is sitting in the silos right now because China is no longer buying wheat from America. I got a message from that guy because they broke the law and wanted to do the right thing. What does that mean? What does that mean, Claude? You said because they broke the law and want to do the right thing. What does that mean?
I have no idea.
You're gonna have to clarify that comment. That guy, that's his name on TikTok. Now, Soma in Paris, they broke into this museum and stole this crown that's worth so many. I mean, they couldn't even put a dollar amount on it. But the bottom line is, where did they get the crown from? It ain't their crown. They took it from another country when they weren't supposed to. Just like they got all these African artifacts in France, and where did they get them from? I know Africa didn't say, "Hey, y'all take all this stuff over there and put it in a museum." The French president went to jail for 5 years for racketeering, and that was Donald Trump, buddy. Window shattered at 30,000 feet in an air in a jet going 550 miles an hour. Something hit the windshield and broke the glass and injured the pilot. I don't know if that's been out. Somebody left a baby in in the New York subway. There are certain things you can do if you have a child that you don't want to raise. You go ahead.
No, go ahead. We were just talking about the news. I was going to get your thoughts about Zoran Madami in New York City.
Oh, I love him. Give me
You
one more
do?
second. We get to him. But if you a parent, a person to soon to be a parent, and you've decided that you're not going to raise your child, you don't have to abandon your child. You can take your child to a fire station, and they give a time limit on it. I don't know what the time limits are, but you can look that up if you're interested in following up on that for yourself or for someone else who may be in that situation. I mean, you could take the baby to a hospital, but I think they say it has to be within 30 days of birth. Did y'all know Amazon went down this week?
Went down for what?
Amazon, Amazon website.
Uh-uh.
Yeah, Amazon. There's only a couple of major hubs that are in America, and Amazon is one of them. And it went down, which there was no redundancy. In other words, no other site where they have this system to back up Amazon. So you got all this information that's sitting on the web. You might want to be able to pull some of it off and keep up with it. With all due respect, you're passing along a lot of misinformation. Jamie, go ahead and tell me what that misinformation is, and let's see what we're talking about because I definitely want to hear your voice. As far as I'm concerned, You ain't listening correctly. You need to open up your other ear. That's what the problem is. So, hear what I'm saying. I'm telling you what's happening in America. The government shutdown is going into week 4. The SNAP benefits are going to go through 1 November, and that's going to be it. WIC, they're not sure about what's going to be happening with WIC. Furlough, they're talking about furlough loans right now. So if you're on furlough from the government, you can go out and request, get you a loan from the credit unions that you may belong to. That would be a nice thing. I mean, but that loan is capped at about $6,000. So if you're going to ask for one, you should ask for $6,000. USAA is one of the places that I do know does those furlough loans. Uh, Here, Pastor Larry, leaving. I really enjoyed your live going on. Thank you, Pastor. Appreciate you. We'll see you next time. Student loans, Department of Education, still asking you to pay your student loans. Um, this time, the vote for passing the budget was 50 yes and 43 no's. As you know, they need 60 yes. They need 60 yes votes to pass. One of the things that's going really good though in America is the cell phone ban for kids in school. I know you pretty much involved in the school system. Did you hear anything about the cell phone ban?
I've heard about it. I know some places have really taken it to the next level and banned cell phones altogether. At some schools, uh, they allow kids to have them. They confiscate them if they catch them with them
Mm-hmm.
during school. If they got headsets in their ears, they'll confiscate the headsets.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a full range of enforcement. It's a full range of. It just depends on where you're at, what state you're in, what school district you're in. I don't think there's a system-wide policy.
Mm-hmm.
That's the same. Nationwide.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thought on that?
Well, I think it's a beautiful thing that I'm going to read Jamie's comment, then I'm going to go back to your question, Claude. The Democrats refused to pass a clear Biden bill to keep the government open. Biden is gone, my friend. Ain't got nothing to do with this current government. But the students are I think they don't need these cell phones in the classroom because it's so much of a distraction. You can't. I watched it everywhere I go in public. To if I go to the doctor's office, if I go to a meeting, if I go to a bar, whatever it may be. If I even drive down the highway, people got their faces glued to their phone. Even if they're driving, they can't sit at the stoplight without trying to text somebody. It is a problem. And I said it when cell phones first came out because I had one of them big bricks when they first hit the market. It is a problem. And I made a vow to myself and my family that cell phones will never rule our day. And that means that you're not going to use that to fill our void time when you're sitting in amongst the people. You're going to talk to somebody. And right now people are not talking. They're sticking their face. If they go somewhere and they feel a little uncomfortable, they look right at their phone and they stay there until it's time for them to do whatever they're gonna do. It was a continuing resolution bill from when Biden was president. All right, Jamie, get off Biden. Let the man rest in peace. And I don't
Well, he
mean
ain't dead yet.
Yeah, I don't mean that. I mean, you can rest in peace without being unalive. You know what I mean? I want to take a rest. I'm in peace. We've got that as a cliche that if you say rest in peace, that means you've expired.
So you
Not
don't think Biden had anything to do with the shutdown?
necessarily. That's what I'm saying. How did he have anything to do with the shutdown? If he did, let me know. It can be a continuing resolution, but still, the he's not the one not voting for.
Well, the shutdown is over government spending. Am I correct?
You saying shutdown is government spending?
No,
Yeah.
it's about
There's
government
no money
spending.
to operate.
Okay,
That's what.
so Biden didn't have anything to do with that.
How can he have anything to do with it when he ain't been in the office in 9 months? That's what I'm asking anybody. How can he have anything to do
No,
with
I'm
this?
just saying. I'm just picking up on what Jamie said about the fact that he had something to do with the.
He did a continuing resolution. That's what Jamie was saying. Uh, this is my point. How can you continually point the finger at somebody for doing something to you when you were 6 years old? Man, Jamie took my basketball when we was on the basketball court. That's why I ain't never playing basketball no more in my life. And it's all Jamie's fault. I'm just kidding, Jamie. You know, you're still dragging this on day after day, and it's a burden to you. I mean, until you let go of all of that negative energy that you're possessing and moving forward with, then you can't move forward in peace because you're dragging a load. You're pulling a wagon with you. Trump has stolen money to pay his legal fees. Okay, yeah, all right. You know who said that? That's Joanna. I mean, we all know that some of the stuff he's doing is borderline this and borderline that. And, you know, you get what you pay for, or you get what you vote for. And that's what we got.
Or
We
you
got
get
what
what you
we vote
didn't
for.
vote for.
And ain't nothing you can do about that. He's in there. He's got control of the budget. He's got the pen. He's done over 150 resolutions, and he can do or executive orders. He can do as many as he wants, and he's the president. He has that power. One other situation that most people are not paying attention to. Again, Jamie, this is why Democrats and Republicans are not passing bills. They're not passing bills because they don't agree on the reason, they don't compromise on why they should pass the bill. They don't want to focus on the American suffrage or the government employee suffrage and the rest and the trickle down effect. They want to focus on who's right and who's wrong instead of trying to figure out why should we make this a reality. It should be made a reality. But what I was about to say, Jamie, is that there's a company called Roblox, Roblox, and what it is that automated program that our children play when they get home, and it's all these antiquated, animated characters that are doing all this stuff on the television. So right now they're on a lawsuit in Florida and Louisiana because they're calling children to to unalive themselves. Um, and the reason they're doing that, they're not verifying users, and users are going in there and they're enticing children. Grown people are enticing children under this Roblox program to do things, to challenge. They're challenging them to do things, and the children are doing them. And there's been recent children that have unalived themselves because of it. So that's something we have to pay attention to and look at what our kids are doing after school, especially if they are on the computer. One thing that I want to ask every listener of BNN 247 to do is to start critically thinking issues. Before you say what you want to say or before you do what you intend to do, critically think about it. And what is critical thinking? Cri- Critical thinking to me is five elements of information. And in order to get to the critical thinking level, you before you do the action, you put it into action. You got to be proactive first. So proactive only can mean asking yourself these questions before you deploy the action. Your pro action would be who am I talking about? What am I talking about? It's the actual physical substance of what this action will be resulted in. What, who, what, when, why, where. Ask yourself these questions. If you can answer each one of these questions and everything fits the bill for you, then execute. Then go ahead and do your action. But who it involves, what it is, where it's located, or how I have to deal with it, why am I doing this, and how am I going to do it? Those are your critical thinking elements. And if you intend to be a lot wiser in your elderly years and get to the elderly years, then you have to start critically thinking events. You can't just arbitrarily react when the moment comes. A long time ago, somebody told me, what comes up comes out. And really, in other words, you SWAT. I'm going to make it as simple as I can make it. You don't want to swat a mosquito that lands on your. Did you read my lips, Claude?
Yeah, I saw that.
You don't want to swat a mosquito like you know how we slap at mosquitoes all the time if we're outside at night. You don't want to swat a mosquito that lands on your. This is a man's joke. That's all it is. So don't get me wrong, y'all. It's just a joke. Um, you want to be careful about that. So critically think issues is very important. You know, over 2 million black guys or black people voted for Donald Trump. Trump. And those 2 million people were in the age range of 18 to 27 when they voted for him. Now, why are our young people were so quick to vote for Donald Trump? Why were our young men and women, black men and women 18 to 27, eager to vote for Donald Trump? Can you answer that question? I would say they are and they were eager to vote for him because of disinformation, pro black importance. In other words, people put out information about why that category should vote for DT rather than putting out information why that category of our people should vote for Kamala Harris. They voted for the more information they had, and they had more information on Donald Trump than anything uh, that were there. Yes, because he lied to them. Well, I
Well, no,
mean,
the bottom line was Trump played to every black stereotype known to in human existence. He played to every black stereotype. Where are all you say he got 2 million black folks? Where are they in his administration? How many of them do you see walking around the White House or any house that he has anything to do with?
none, none at all. While I'm thinking about it, I want to shoot a shout out to Joyce Jackson. Her birthday is tomorrow. So happy birthday, Miss Joyce Jackson. Go ahead, Claude. Yeah.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, he just played to every black stereotype, and sadly, I mean, it worked.
You know, this is how they got this bad information, and this is why it works. You guys might as well give it up. This is what Mac said. Mac, it ain't about giving up. It's about the enjoyment of being able to bring some knowledge to our culture, whether they accept it or not. It doesn't matter if you want to accept it. What matters is that we have the courage to stand here on BNN 247 and present this information to people who are willing to listen. So, with you coming in saying we ought to give it up, I would think that you are right on time by being here listening because you're learning something. Wait till the midterms. Do you think it's a bad? You think it's bad now? It's bad. It's going to get worse. I got one more comment from Mac. It has nothing to do with courage. It has everything to do with being honest with yourself. Yeah, that's a promise. You're absolutely right. It does. But if you let's take it back for a minute. You want to go all the way back to the Constitution. All the founders of this Constitution, of this creation that we're existing in right now, were white. And I'm bold about saying that because what am I lying about something? No, I'm telling you exactly what it was. All of our people, all the people that design what's happening right now are were white. And they are responsible for writing the Constitution. And the Constitution, believe it or not, was written for to keep them in power. It was written to keep them in power. And that's exactly what it's doing. Back then, when the Constitution was written, black people were being oppressed, and what's happening now? With black people are being oppressed, and we are powerless to do what we need to do as American, allegedly citizens. We're technically not. The prey on ignorance and providing low information. That's the biggest issue we face with the prey on ignorance. They figure we're ignorant to finding anything in a book, so that's where it's at. Everything you need to know can be found in a book, not necessarily the book they wrote. We have black authors that wrote things. I mean, there Toni Morrison, Marcus Garvey wrote books. There's 100,000 other authors out there that could be mentioned, but those are the only two come to mind right now. So look at some writings from the black people, even myself, an author, and I wrote about a lot of history that we had to deal with growing up in the rural South. They prey on the ignorance of us because we go to their schools and they try and force feed us that Columbus discovered America and that Goldilocks wore glass slippers or what she was asleep or I don't even know these stories. That the egg that fell off the wall was white. Uh, Everything was white. I mean, the Pope was white, the president was white, Jesus was white, the 12 disciples was white. Um, your mood is on, Claude. Everything was white, and Tarzan was white. I mean,
Separate was equal.
was separate, was equal, and it never was. We were getting hand-me-down books from the white school when they would get the new books that was furnished by the federal government. So these are the things that we have to deal with. Um, I don't understand how we can say that we're wasting our time presenting this information to our culture. I think it's one of the best things that could be happening right now. Not only are we doing it, there are thousands, hundreds of thousands of others out there doing the exact same thing, trying to bring the message to our people because the news is not doing it. So who else is going to let you know? You're going to wait for the grand night in the sky to come down and save you and take you to another land. Look at it this way. Why are all the angels white? When you get to heaven, since that's what you may be waiting on, are you there to go face the white angels? I mean, who's in heaven right now? Are
Santa
black
Claus. Santa
heaven?
Claus is white.
Santa Claus is white, and Saint Nicholas is white. But if black people are going to heaven, what are they going to heaven to be? Servants? Because right now you don't see a single black angel floating around here anywhere. You always see white angels. The angel food cake, white. The devil cake, black. When somebody don't want you in their organization, what do? They blackball you. If they want you in the organization, they whiteball you. Black ball, reject, white ball, elect. Some of you know what I'm talking about. That's what they say. And when you're doing that, you don't have the concept that why am I study perpetuating this negativity toward who I am by saying blackball reject. That's something even you can change that with a damn word. Why would you not change that in the midst of your organization? Just because somebody started you with that, you continually perpetuate the ignorance and the misinformation that's been portrayed to you, and you believe in it. You got to shake off them haters because they are on you. They own you. Little things like that. That is so sad that we still allow ourselves to do that. They came out with critical race theory, and with critical race theory, that was a form of keeping you ignorant, keeping you the school system ignorant. Teachers going to jail for saying that your ancestors abused our ancestors. The truth now, but you're telling the truth, but you're going to jail for it because you presented it in school. I ain't gonna get excited. DEI,
That's okay.
diversity, equity, and inclusion. What do you say, Claude?
That's okay.
It's okay. All right.
Getting excited is okay.
All right. So now look, what was wrong with affirmative action? Why you had to change it to DEI? That's like the UFO thing. What is it now? They changed the UFO to what? I,
Unidentified. What is it? I don't know.
see, why couldn't we just say UFO? It was so damn plain and simple. It didn't hurt a thing. UFO. Uh, 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 what DEI is something that we all got to change to, which don't make no damn sense. It's going to stay affirmative action, which did something for us. We had a need for affirmative action. To change it to DEI means that we're no longer going to consider race as a factor in determining the diversity and the equity and inclusion. And if you're not considering race in a country with less than 13% of the population, which you hit on so many times, Claude, about us, why have we never gotten over 13% of
Well,
black people in America?
well, we're up to 14% now
We had 14%, but that
of the U.S. population.
doggone, why only 14%? Why only 14%? That means there's what? What's the other? What's the leftover? 80,
86.
86%. 86% ain't black. So you got 86% in opposition taught to dislike people with skin color of like us that are descendants of slaves. Now, if you look up the 13th Amendment with 20 sections, have you been able to look that up, Claude? Have you seen that yet?
Yeah, but let me just say something. When you look at all the groups in the world,
Mm-hmm.
every group has been able to put aside their disability, be it the color of their skin, the circumstance of their birth. Every group has been able to put aside their disability, but black folks, because of that black skin. You can't put that aside.
We have to. We
You can't hide it.
what do you do when you start building something and then you take a step back and you look at it and it look like crap? What do? You tear it down, you start from the basics again, right? This time you read the instructions, but
Yeah,
you
but you
start over. That is where we are not. We're too far in to start over, but it's not too far in to take a step back.
But you mentioned affirmative action. The reason why they changed it from affirmative action to DEI is because affirmative action became too connected with just doing something for black folks.
Yeah, I
That's why the name changed.
I 100% agree. They changed the name
Because
to
affirmative action was associated with
anything.
blackness.
I mean, then we got the Civil Rights Act of 1965, which really only said that we are people again. Why do we need these acts and these laws that tell
Well,
people,
but
other people, that we're people?
well, a little
We're
bit of
people.
history. You got to go all the way back to Plessy, right?
Plessy versus Ferguson. Ferguson.
Homer Plessy, right? He
Mm-hmm.
was 1/8 black,
Mm-hmm.
meaning he was 99% white. And they told him that 1/8 would not let him ride on that car. And so if we had to stop right there and say separate but equal, we
Mm-hmm.
could have been fighting for equality and still maintaining our space. You understand what I'm saying? But the Supreme Court come along and say what? In 1954. Supreme Court comes along and say that separate can never be equal. And we've been living with the consequences of that decision to this day. If they had just left it alone and say separate, equal, we could fight for something. We could fight for equality. We didn't have to be connected with whiteness. We didn't have to associate our worth based on some white standard. Separate and equal. That's what that's what Plessy was.
Mm-hmm.
Brown was in the what the
But
white guy from
Brown
California
versus
said. Brown
education.
he said that in the field of publications, education separate can never be equal. Meaning that we could never in this country have what white folks have. That's what that decision said. That we could never have equality as long as we was equal separate from white folks. And we've been screwed up ever since.
Yeah, that put us in a bad situation. The 13th Amendment,
Because it's separate equal today.
not at all. The 13th Amendment is the 13th Amendment with 20 sections. Section 12 specifically says that no person of African descent can become a citizen of the United States. No person. It don't bite his tongue on that. That's what it says.
I didn't read that, but I gotta go back and read it.
Go back to Section 12 on the 13th Amendment with 20 sections. Now, if we could stand our own ground, there are cities in that I know of in Oklahoma that are 99% black. There are
Right?
cities, huh?
Yeah.
There are cities in Mississippi that are 99% black.
Are they
But
equal?
huh?
Have they? Are they? How would you describe the
I will describe
social, political, educational
1790
opportunities?
as a 1790s community up and coming. Really with nothing there but torn down facilities, closed down main streets, buildings about to fall off the foundation, cities. I mean, not one that, that are that are that with that type with a 95% or better ratio of black have been able to get to where they need to be because that goes back to what you were saying. There's no way separate is going to equal equal.
Well, I see. I reject that though.
Tell
I
me,
don't.
tell me about it.
That's what the white man said that as long as we were separate from the white man, we'll never be equal. That there that that if we had stuck with Plessy, Plessy said separate. The court basically said separate was equal. That Plessy had no right to ride on that car with white folks because he had a car that was equal to them. Now we know it wasn't equal in furnishings and style or whatever. But what the court said in Brown was that in at least in the field of education, separate can never be equal. Meaning black schools would never be equal to white schools. I reject that notion.
We get surpass those schools, but they're never going to give us the opportunity to do it
We
because,
never fought.
huh?
We never fought for them.
Well, yeah, we didn't.
We did. We
We
never
never
fought.
fought very much at
We
all.
said we lost everything black when it came to education.
But
We
why?
lost our schools. We lost our ability to instruct the way our kids learn. We
Could not,
lost it all.
it
We
could not.
lost discipline.
Mhm.
We lost it all.
It could not have been better said than what Martin Luther King said. We're marching into that burning house. All
Yep.
that we shall overcome stuff, all that marching did not amount to very much for in our favor.
Because we let a white man say
Coming together.
we let a white judge say that separate will never be equal. This was a white guy talking.
Mhm. Well, they even said, look at what the Supreme Court said with what his name, the last court case that said something about race. I was looking at it the other day, but I can't think of his name right now. Well, I did say the Civil Rights Act of 1965 didn't do very much to straighten out the problem. The Voters' Rights Act of 1964 didn't do very much to straighten out our problem here in this country. We have certain things that we have failed to master in our own defense, and that is our education. We're doing the best in our education, economics, um, the opposition of the powers that be. Um, we have to do better. Our school system is a progressive situation, and it's designed right now to put you in a category where you can just exist in America. Give you just enough information to get you by. But graduating high school don't amount to nothing. You still come out of high school like you're in the eighth grade.
I mean,
So
look at our life now as a result of those decisions. Where do
mm,
we find equality at? We find equality in in white spaces, not in black spaces.
and we're not finding it there.
No,
Why
it's
is
the
it
illusion. It's
and we're
the
to a
no
restaurant like
because we are on this uh, what I like to call is a keeping up with the Joneses equality.
mm,
It's a Jones equality,
mm,
meaning if I got what Jerry over there got, I'm equal. He white, I'm black. I got what he got. I drive a nice car, he drive a nice car. We equal. It's
mm.
keeping up with the Jones equality. How about the people without the Jones? How about the people at the bottom of the well? How do they keep up? How do their kids get a decent education?
Yeah.
How do they live in a safe neighborhood? Where do they live at safe streets and stuff?
The thing stopped scrolling and a lot of messages popped up. I'm going to read them right quick. Reminder, our God said that we will be punished until he stops the punishment. Sorry about that. Thank you, Benny. So I'm going to read these comments and we'll go back and just and talk about them. Benny said, but thanks God, we will be better soon. How soon? You got no idea, right, Benny? Just
Oh
like none
yeah.
of us do. Um, That's really not a true statement. Max said that, I don't know if that was old or not, but as if racism has ended. It ain't ended yet. Whoever said that, remember our God. All right. So I guess I didn't miss many comments. Um, if you got a comment, go ahead and put it in there so we can discuss it. But Claude, it ain't never gonna be a situation where a black man will get equal as a white man get can do equal what a white man can do in America. Now this is America, and
Why was integration ever a goal?
because that was something that to me was placed out there to keep you from wanting to fight for something else.
Right.
So you pick something and you make it a big thing, and so everybody will tone down and focus on that big thing until they find out that that big thing was the detriment of our communities. This is where the problem lies. We have no communities now, and a community is where the money lies. If you don't have a community, how can you put together a fund or a group of people? You can't even put together a meeting if you don't have a community. You got neighborhoods, which you got neighbors, but there's no community in the neighborhood. And that is our problem. We are so thin right now. We're spread out so thin. And the only time you see a mass group of black people in places like where the population of black people are less than 20% is at a club or at church or at a function that's black. You don't see black or at the barbershop or the beauty shop. You don't see black people when you walk into Walmart waiting on you or cashing you out. You don't see black people working at the bank. You don't see black people on the police force. You don't see that when you have a population with less than 20% black. You see one out of every 100 maybe doing something that the white folks have tendencies to do. The police force is one of the organizations across our country. And by the way, there are over 18,000 individually governed sovereign police forces. Everyone are sovereign in their own right. That means they do what the hell they want to do. And as long as it's not violating federal law. That is a big statement. And now we have to contend with these police forces who make it a point to target people like me or people that look like me or look like you. And that is our problem. Um, the No Kings March was a big deal.
There
Millions
was
of people, huh?
7 million people across the country.
They say it was a 7 million people. I mean, why would they tell me what you know about the No Kings March?
All I know about the No Kings March was that wasn't that many black people at them.
You kidding, right? It wasn't that
No,
many blacks.
no. I mean, it was the obligatory blacks. It was the politicians, the activists,
Mm,
but wasn't no, you know, wasn't no grassroots black people out there
mm.
with signs and I guess cause you had to buy your own sign and make up your own sign and stuff. We just couldn't
That's
afford it.
money spent, right?
Yeah, you had to get there, parking. You had to
Hmm.
get there. Got to take off from work.
All right. So
I just don't think it was. I just don't think.
I want to say a few things before we go, Claude, about how do we prepare for this government shutdown? How do the normal and average person deal with it? What are your thoughts on
Well, I think find out as much as you can about the impact of the program. I mean, the impact of the shutdown. You
it? Hmm.
know, is the mail going to continue to be delivered? You're going to continue to get your checks. Uh, do you
Most
still got to
of
pay your do you still got to pay your student loans? Do you, you know, are you a if you're a government employee, are you non-essential or are you essential? Who's going to pay your bills? I mean, get as much information on how it's going to impact you and your community as you can get. I have I have black representation at every level. I get a lot of information about events and all kinds of things. I have yet to get any kind of handout or posting about how this impact me as a constituent from that representative from the CBC. Every state is different. If you're in a, I mean, if you're in a state like Maryland, I guess you have representatives or you have a governor that provides you with that information. I haven't seen
That's
it.
big.
Because if we had seen it, we would have had it for the show, as it impacts Texas. So there's going to be impacts because I don't see this ending prior to November 2026. and then we'll see what Congress, what the makeup of Congress looks like.
Yeah, we got to see. We got to go.
And I think people just need to, to load up their six shooter and head to the polls. You know, because that's the only answer in this country, man.
All right. Wardell says that Plessy versus Ferguson was equal but separate.
Right.
That's hard to manufacture equal but separate. That's
Well,
what it
no,
is.
but how
One
come? How
thing I
come?
would say right now, though,
But how come? How come we can't be equal and be separate?
we can if they would just leave us alone. Why do we want them to leave us alone so much? Why do we think we got to go as far as saying, leave us alone, master? Just let us be. Why do
No,
we
but
keep having a
but
demand that they just let us be?
but saying that separate is not equal is basically saying that as black people, as a race of people, we can never be equal on our own. That's what that says.
Why why we need to be equal?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying. I'm saying that equality is based in America. Equality is based on race. Separate, like what Earl Warren said. Separate can never be equal.
Right.
That's what Earl Warren. That's what the Supreme Court justice said in the Brown decision.
Separate can never be equal.
So meaning as that to me that says that black people on our own we can never have equality in this country.
I mean, who can measure equality? You know, you and I can
Well, the
say
court did. The court. Well, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think he meant when he said that?
we ain't never gonna be on the same level as white people. That's what he meant.
I mean, Earl Warren said it. He said
You'll never
he
be on
now
the
he
level.
said in the field of public education, which is the foundational bedrock of success in this country.
Mhm.
He said in the field of public education, separate would never be equal. And that's what all the laws after that's based on. Integration, all the other stuff.
Mhm. And it's been true. It'll never be equal. It will never be
No,
equal.
because we stopped fighting. I think we stopped
We
fighting.
stopped fighting after something. What stopped us from fighting? Was it the unaliving of ML?
No, I don't. There was a whole lot of people unalive. I think
What
it
stopped
was
us?
it wasn't the fact that
When
people
we
were
we
dying.
our
It was the
last fight?
it was the fact that we gave up on the principle of being an independent, self uh, uh, fulfilling racial group in this country. I mean, I think we put our worth, our value, based on that white standard.
Mhm. So to me, we're gonna have to go back to the moment we stop fighting, and then move forward from that moment to get to this moment. Because right now we don't know when we stop fighting. If if it was at the unaliving of ML, or was it at the last Million Man March? Did we stop fighting before that? When did I have no idea when we stopped fighting? That's what I'm going to look for and find out because that's important. But I wanted to always put this one point out. If you are concerned about this government shutdown and it's affecting your money, one of the first things you're going to have to do is pool your resources. Figure out where all of your resources are. In other words, I'm talking about money. Figure out how much you got on your credit cards. Figure out how much you got coming in. If you got anything coming in, figure out how much you got in savings. Figure out how you're going to maneuver through that to apply it to your everyday living. You got to figure it out. You got to take a stand and look at what you have. And once you determine what you have, now you figure out how you're going to make this sustain yourself as long as possible. In other words, you're going to go down to minimalist. You know how much food you throw away every month. You know how many times you eat out every month. You know you're gonna have to change your behaviors. If you can't change your behaviors and lower your standard of living to survive, then you are not going to survive this shutdown. So you got to figure out what you got. You got to change your standard of living. If you used to going to Papados, now you might need to go go to Long John Silver's and get your meal, something to that effect. I'm just telling you, if you used to driving a BMW 528i, you might need to go to Kia, get you a Kia. You got these assets that you're sitting on, and those assets were put under you for a reason. They were put under you to receive income, and now it's coming to a point whether how are you going to maintain these assets? You don't have to offload those assets and go get that money so you can survive at the level you want to survive on. And then when everything starts to trickle back in, go get you some more newer assets. You're going to have to figure this out the hard way. Don't wait and think it's everything's going to be all right, because it's not. I'm saying you got to do these things. You got to know how much insurance you got. You got to know how you're going to pay your doctor bills. You got to know your medication is in order. How are you going to buy medication when you ain't got no money to afford these expensive medications? And you for sure going to have to start participating in a black community, because that is our biggest issue right now. We cannot pull together a black community so we can do some of the things that we need to do. I would hope and pray that we are getting to a point where we can raise a finger and muster 100 black people to go and attack one single problem at City Hall. I mean, how come we can get thousands, 25 million Americans in church on Sunday mornings, but we can't get 2.5 people to go down to city council? We can't do it. Come on, black people. Where are we going to start participating in our own governance? We're not participating in our own governance. We're leaving it to somebody else who's willing to fall on the sword while you reap the benefits. You're going to
because
have to get out there too.
because we have a Jones mentality, keeping up with the Joneses mentality. And if you can keep up with the Joneses, you no longer black.
Yeah, we got to let them Jones go about their business. I got a
I know.
song for you, Claude.
What's that?
I'm,
Let me hear it.
I'm going to try. I know I can't sing, but I got to sing it for you. And this was a call by Samuel L. Jackson. I can hear my neighbors crying. I can't breathe. Now I'm in the struggle and I can't leave. Calling out the violence of the racist police, and we ain't gonna stop till our people are free. I don't know if I missed some tones there, but stand up against what is blocking our peace. That's what we got to do. We got to stand up against what's blocking our peace, and we're not doing that. But that's the song he's calling out these artists to start singing. Uh,
Of the 200,000 federal employees in Texas, what
mm,
number would you say are black?
less than 12%, right?
So, so you, well, so you think in the federal workforce in Texas, less than 12% are
In
black?
Texas, I'm talking about the federal government.
No, I'm talking about in Texas. There's 200,000 federal
I'd say less
employees.
than 5%.
I think it's way higher than that. I'm gonna find out
I'm thinking it's
because
real.
that's where we find employment as in federal service.
It's so low. Voting Right Act, Act of 1965. They're discussing the 15th Amendment right now in Washington. They're tearing it apart because they think that Race was used to determine eligibility or some type, or determine the issuance of the Voting Rights Act of 1965.
Well, of a certain
The
section of
use
the
of
Voting Rights
race
Act.
was the use of race used to determine voting was used to determine voters' districts. That's what it was about, and it was all about, and it's being discussed because of a case in Louisiana right now. Section 2 of the Constitution of the United States is said to be unconstitutional because they considered race as a deciding factor. And that is what they are discussing now in Washington, D.C., and that is what is going to have to change. There are 60 blacks in Congress. We're going to have to do something better than that. We're going to have to get more in there. Donald Trump, our president, is still shooting boats out of the water. So he's up to 27 unalive members of those boats. Um,
They just happen to be black.
what, the people on the boats?
Yeah, the Haitians. They're black.
Yeah, I didn't know they were Haitians.
Yeah,
I,
they're Haitians.
right now, there are 60,000 people incarcerated by ICE. That's a lot of people. 60,000. 1.6 million have self deported, and that's a lot of folks that's deciding to go away without even dealing with ICE. ICE is something nobody wants to deal with,
Well,
and
how did they know they went away?
I don't know.
I
I have
mean,
no idea. That's the
did they
number.
call them and say, I'm going?
Are you leaving? I guess they know. I don't know how they would know that these.
Maybe someone of our listeners know the answer to that.
How
How
do
do
they?
they?
Hey, let's ask. Go ahead.
How well, what was the number you reported? One point
1.6 million people self.
self-deported.
Mhm.
How does the government know that? Uh,
I don't
if
know
there are any listeners out there that know the answer to that, chime
how does
in.
the government know.
Do
That's a
you
great
report? Do you raise your hand?
say it. If you have the answer to that, let us know because I dig
I know
not.
that there was a group that they gave tickets. They flew. If they volunteered to leave, they'll give them a free ticket and some money.
Mm-hmm.
So is
The
that how they did it?
state government. How you doing, Coda? Kotam, how you pronounce that? I'm not sure. Glad to see you. Thank you for joining BNN 247. All right, Claude, we've been on a little over an hour, so go ahead and give us your final thoughts for the day, and we're going to go ahead and proceed to close.
Well, it's been a good show. We've talked about a variety of issues. Basically, we're just trying to educate the mind and get people to maybe look at some issues and think about things from a black perspective and start asking questions. And please, folks, please, listeners, please, everyone out there, if you're 18 and eligible to vote, vote. Because until we figure this thing out, that's the only game in town. I think I ended on that vote note.
All right, brothers and sisters, thank you so much to Claude. We appreciate his input and his knowledge on the subject. So, without further ado, we're going to say goodbye to him and look forward to him next week. Thank you so much, Brother Claude. In closing, I just want to say that we've done our best to bring forth information and let people know what's happening out here in the world. And there's no other way to get this information out there without communicating. Because there's a process that we're giving them $1,000. Oh, okay. One user said they're getting $1,000 to leave. I see you, Darren. Thank you so much for your participation with the Black News Network. I'm going to go ahead and remove ourselves from this show. This is the Black News Network, the real voice of Black USA, broadcasting live from a Black perspective. We do not own the rights to the music. but we do right. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you again next Sunday at